All right, our teacher has taken his seat. Today, we are very fortunate to be gathered here. On this crisp autumn day, we come together in this place to listen to Khenpo Sodagai's teachings. Today's event is hosted by the East China Normal University alumni community. We have invited Khenpo Sodagai to give a talk on Nourishing Heart, Cultivating Wisdom. Let's welcome our teacher with the warmest applause and pure, sincere hearts. Please, Khenpo, begin your teaching for us.
I am very happy to be here today to exchange ideas with some EMBA students from East China Normal University. Mainly, I want to share some thoughts on nourishing heart and cultivating wisdom. For me, I don't consider myself qualified to guide or instruct you, nor do I think I'm here to lead anyone. I just want to share some of my own experiences so we can learn together. In other words, everyone present is a person living in the midst of the bustling world. Buddhism often speaks of the ultimate truth and conventional truth. When we observe conventional truth with wisdom, actually what we are doing now is not so different from dreams and illusions. But before reaching that level, we are all attached, we all pursue things. In the process of pursuit, there are truths and there are falsehoods. On this point, Buddhism's perspective is very rational. After arriving here today, I just saw my teacher, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok. He came to this place more than 10 years ago. I remember it was from November 24th to 26th in 1997. He stayed in this bed in Shanghai. Many people interested in Buddhism have kept it. I just went to pay my respects. It has passed more than 10 years, but the Guru's bed, bowls, even the words he wrote are still here and have been preserved very well. When I saw the bed where the Master once stayed, my heart was filled with many thoughts. Because in 1997, when Rinpoche came to Shanghai, I came with him. That time, he gave spiritual education and wisdom to those who were fortunate enough to meet him here. But today, he has been gone from this world for almost 10 years. In this impermanent life, what I am most grateful for is my teacher. The wisdom and positive energy he gave me far surpasses that of my parents and far surpasses all other benefactors in the world. So I think in this world, to be honest, the benefit that teachers bring us. As students of your normal university, I heard that today about 70 or 80% are graduate students and around 10% are undergraduates. Each person in the journey of life has relied on teachers at some point. The wisdom and compassion of our teachers should never be forgotten. For me, any teacher who has shared such knowledge with me, their kindness is as great as a mountain. I can say I will never forget it. Today, as I stand here, what do I want to explore together with you? Some of you have already graduated, some may not have graduated yet. Either way, I heard that many of you have great hopes of future success, especially those who study business management, psychology, and advanced management. Given that, what do we need most at this moment? On one hand, in reality, we have to pursue material things. Buddhism does not object to this. Buddhism always praises it. But more importantly, we need inner balance, inner wealth of the heart. From the Buddhist perspective, this is even more valued and encouraged. Why do I say this? Because chasing external wealth can only bring you a certain degree of happiness and joy, but it cannot bring you absolute or lasting happiness. Though inner happiness has been proven over centuries of history to bring us a kind of transcendent joy, a higher state of being. This state is difficult for many people, including myself, to achieve. But in reality, this state truly exists. Such a state can be attained by lay people like you, by monastics, and by others. In this process, I hope everyone present here will first adopt a proper mindset, a sincere attitude, and a genuine thirst for knowledge. Only then can you truly gain what is beneficial for you and helpful to those around you, and even of great benefit to society as a whole. Buddhism teaches all phenomena arise from the mind. Everything in this world is inseparable from the mind. The mind is very important. When I say this, some may think, besides the mind, material things also play a decisive role. But on this point, we do not deny the convenience material things bring us. Of course, what's even more important is adjusting our inner state. Inner discipline and strength are extremely important. You should be well aware of this. There was a book called Happiness: A History. An American university professor spent 6 years analyzing people's mindsets and happiness. He came to the conclusion that what did he summarize in Happiness: A History? He said that all happiness does not come from external things, but mainly arises from inner adjustment and inner peace. When you observe this scientifically, indeed, some forms of happiness do not depend entirely on external things. Of course, some of you may manage businesses in the future or be searching for your own path in life. First, you may want to consider all the knowledge and expertise you gained at school, but honestly, some of that knowledge and expertise may not actually benefit you in your career. The president of Yale University once said that if graduates from our school go anywhere and still only rely on their professional knowledge and skills, then Yale University has failed, and that is its lack of success. That was his point. Why did he say this? All students present here. Some of the subjects you studied at school may not be useful in society. Most of your knowledge may not be used. But what will always be useful is kindness in your heart and a sense of responsibility towards society and family. Even before you leave this world, these qualities are always needed. So at this point, we should first have a peaceful state of mind. Many of you may feel there is much to seek externally, while internally, contemplation and self-reflection are relatively rare. Recently in Hong Kong, we held the Third World Youth Buddhist Symposium. I saw that many people from your university participated. During the event, many scientists, Buddhists, and scholars of other religions agreed that for society to develop sustainably, we must start with the mind. Begin by strengthening the mind. If the mind is not strong, then no matter how abundant external things are, it is hard to be satisfied. Not long ago in Beijing, there was a business group, a very large corporation. Among the country's most powerful entrepreneurs, they conducted a thorough field study. In their research, even the richest people did not necessarily find the greatest happiness. The final result was, among entrepreneurs, those with the most wealth had happiness rates below 10%. But among farmers, herders, and in some other groups, the level of happiness was actually higher. I once read about the British scientist Bertrand Russell. A long time ago, perhaps in the 1950s, he received the Nobel Prize in Literature. I believe it was in 1950. When he came to Mount Amy, he saw many sedan chair carriers. Even though they were sweating all over, they were very happy. He wrote in his diary at the time, he had never seen such a happy group of people. On the surface, the physical stress of their work must be very painful, but you couldn't see it from their appearance. So in the future, especially for many of you students, in school your enthusiasm is high. You think coming into the world is wonderful and expect that entering society, it will bring you a sweet and beautiful life. But when you actually enter society, it is not as you imagined. Just like high school students who think university will be bliss. But when you really step onto campus, there are all sorts of pressures. The same is true when we enter society. I've met many college students. Many are innocent and passionate, full of confidence in life. But after entering society, there are many detours. Detours in your career, detours in your faith, and detours in your relationships. In the end, when you look back, it's often too late. I once read an article, The Detours One Must Take. It tells a simple story that I still remember clearly. It is about a mother and her daughter who is about to take a detour in life. The mother tries to persuade her not to go, but the girl insists. The mother says, "Don't go. I took this way, so it's better for you not to go." But the girl insists. She says, "Since you made it through, why can't I? I'll go anyway." I'm not afraid of taking a detour, not afraid of hitting obstacles. As a result, the girl sets off, but everywhere she goes, she runs into obstacles. She even gets battered and bruised. It's very tragic. Eventually, she gets through, and she sees other young people taking the same detours. She tries to persuade them, "Don't take my path." But these young people respond just as she once did to her mother. They all say, "We're not afraid. We'll take this path." At this point, our life is indeed like this. You may go through maturity or gain more experience. And in the end, especially when you reach 50 or 60, you look back and reflect on your life. You realize that on this path of life, it was not all smooth sailing. There were ups and downs, obstacles, all sorts of experiences. But every experience, for those who are resilient, is a kind of enjoyment, a kind of tempering, a kind of growth. But if our mindset is not resilient, or if our mind has never been trained to endure, then for such a person, the path will be very difficult to overcome. So I think everyone present should be mentally prepared, because mental preparation is very important for everyone. I often tell people our goals and dreams should be beautiful, but for everything we do, we should also prepare for the worst. Planning for the worst is very helpful for your work and your growth. It has great crucial significance. If we do not plan for the worst, and always only pursue beautiful dreams, when we go after them, if something goes wrong, we will be left helpless. For example, whenever I travel, I often think, if the car breaks down or there's a traffic jam, I haven't brought any drinks. Recently, I went to a rather remote place to give a lecture. Leaving home, I was thinking, what if the car breaks down or there is a traffic jam? So I thought, if there is a traffic jam, I should bring more clothes. What if I get hungry? I brought extra biscuits. What if it gets dark? I brought a flashlight. So I always prepare for the worst, maybe even more than I prepare for the best. And it turned out, in the middle of the night, the car tire broke and there was nobody around. At that moment, the small flashlight I brought from home came in handy. I think life is actually meant to be a bright path, but it's very likely that unfortunate, inopportune, or unpleasant things will frequently occur. At such times, we need contingency measures. This is very important for everyone. Of course, in this process, when we seek happiness, we must understand inner joy. This inner joy, I would say, is not very difficult for anyone to attain. In fact, everyone has the opportunity to experience it. If we look around us, there are actually many people in suffering. I often think if my eyesight were poor, for example, if I were blind in one eye, then I would envy all those who have two eyes. These people have both eyes. If I had that, I wouldn't need anything else. If one of my legs doesn't work, I would envy people who walk easily. If I had no legs at all, I might think even having just one leg would be fine. I could use a cane. Any such condition, for example, if my teeth hurt, I envy people with healthy teeth. At this point, people really need to be content. Sometimes you're not suffering because you lack something. Take Napoleon, for example. Everyone knows he was the Emperor of France. In his time, he was considered the richest person in the world. In terms of status, power, wealth, and every other aspect, including his army, which was extremely formidable, at that time in all of Europe, there was hardly anyone who didn't envy him. But in his diary, he finally wrote, "In my entire life, I never had even one happy day." People are very surprised. Why would such a successful person not be happy for even a single day? It's very difficult to understand. In contrast, there's Helen Keller from America. What was she like? She was deaf, blind, and mute. She was mute, deaf, and blind all at once, a person with such disabilities. She couldn't see, couldn't hear, and couldn't speak, but she traveled the world. And in the end, she told people everywhere how beautiful life is. In her commonly used expressions, she felt very happy and successful. In her actual life, she felt very joyful. At this point, I often think to myself, if I were Helen Keller, would I be that strong? Many of you here, even if you're not successful or wealthy, and even if your status is low, you would not be in such a state. So why is it that some people have such strong willpower to fulfill their lives, while others, when they encounter minor difficulties, become discouraged and unable to stand up again? Especially now, many young university students and entrepreneurs have very fragile hearts. On the surface, with their youthful vitality, they seem full of life, and everything seems fine. But when they encounter difficulties, whether in relationships, in business, or in life, the slightest adversity makes them unbearably distressed. Then comes despair, disappointment, and even so many suicides. One statistic in China says that 280,000 people commit suicide each year. Another statistic shows that nearly 2 million people attempt suicide but don't succeed. What's the reason? Most of them are young people. Why? Because our mindset hasn't been properly adjusted. Actually, if the mindset were adjusted properly, one wouldn't reach the point of suicide. When you encounter the greatest pain or obstacles in relationships or career, you can actually switch to another path. I often tell people, when they encounter particular despair in relationships, actually, there are others in this world besides just that one person. There are many, many people. Even without her, perhaps your life could become even more brilliant. So on this issue, we still need methods to train our minds. Without methods to train the mind, people nowadays indeed live very exhausted lives. Everyone feels a certain amount of pressure. I think this pressure is actually not that great. It's our mind that isn't adjusted. If the mind is adjusted, we have food and clothes in our current life. It's not very difficult, even plus basic necessities. As long as you exist in this world, it's impossible to have no pressure at all. Of course, at this time, especially for those in business or anyone in any industry in the world, what we may need is a method to train the mind, meditation methods now. I recently met someone very successful in business. He's from Taiwan and he has about 800 people under him. I asked him, why are you so successful? He said, my main approach is managing high-level leaders. I don't just use systems to manage, I also use psychology. I asked in detail, what kind of psychological method do you use? He said, I usually require these high-level leaders because lower-level staff may not be able to accept it. But high-level leaders, and especially those who have faith in or interest in Buddhism, I require them to meditate for 10 to 15 minutes, keeping their minds calm every day. Before work, before doing anything, you must calm down and meditate. During meditation, some visualize the Buddha, while others visualize themselves completely letting go, feeling very relaxed. All pressure and all suffering are cast aside and forgotten. As you breathe, you visualize pure breath. All the wisdom, energy, trust, and love in the world, I would inhale all of that in. Then, when you exhale, you imagine your jealousy, greed, pain, arrogance, low self-esteem, thinking you're not good enough, hesitation, anxiety, impatience, all being exhaled completely. You remain in a very calm, peaceful, harmonious state in such a clear and bright condition. You rest in that state for about 10 to 15 minutes. Every day it's like this, continuously filtering, continuously purifying. Eventually, body and mind become strong again. This is actually a very good method. I hope all of you present, whether you have faith or not, adjusting yourself is very important. Just like we need to wash our face and brush our teeth every day. If we don't wash our face or brush our teeth, everyone knows we'll be covered in dust. If we don't wash our clothes regularly, after wearing them for a few days, they become unwearable. But regarding our inner mind, apart from some religious people, ordinary worldly people don't pay much attention to cleansing the mind. This is truly unfortunate. The mind similarly becomes stained with various external impurities. When such impurities gradually fill all the space of your mind, you become a confused person who has lost direction. This is very frightening. Therefore, I really hope that everyone can use meditation, use psychological therapy. Now, various American universities also have psychological therapy. Many European universities have it too. Now, in China, various universities, I'm not sure if East China Normal has it, but there should be a kind of psychological meditation center. I heard your psychology program is very good. I just met a few graduate students. Every one of them said, our psychology at East China Normal is excellent. When I was studying at normal school, I especially loved studying psychology. I used to argue with my psychology teacher every day, presenting Buddhist views. He wouldn't accept my views, and I wouldn't accept his. We argued every day. This arguing wasn't actual fighting. It was intellectual conflict, because each one had different beliefs and viewpoints. In the end, there were still many conflicts of thought. He was my teacher, and I had to respect him, and I was somewhat afraid there were some principles I had to refute. When I was studying, there were two subjects where I conflicted with teachers, psychology and dialectics. So what I wanted to say to you just now is, you need to find methods to adjust and train your mind. This is very important. You know Li Ka-shing. Many people asked him, where does your success stem from? He never answered reporters directly, but actually his lifestyle indirectly answered them. What was the answer? Every day, come rain or shine, what does he do without fail? He meditates for about 10 minutes every day. He's maintained this for many years. When his body and mind are very healthy, whatever he does is very effective, including Steve Jobs. In his biography, it seems not recently, but before it was everywhere, because people's fame in the world rises and falls. Now this person is famous, then that person. When Steve Jobs was alive, he wasn't that famous. When he died, he became quite famous. At that time, all bookstores were filled with books about Jobs. I also looked through them. His experiences studying in India and learning Buddhism, along with his daily meditation practice, before high-level business meetings, he would meditate for a while. I think many young people should emulate this. If you don't do this, indeed, I myself have this experience. I'm also someone who has been through it. Compared to some of your ages, when interacting with many people of poor character in cities, the mind often develops filthy thoughts and emotions. Gradually, it's as if you lose confidence in life, lose faith in work, and so on. Gradually, it becomes negative energy. If your mindset is full of negative energy, the body is actually a prisoner of the mind. We can say whatever the mind commands, the body obediently follows. At that time, if your mind's engine breaks down, then the body's actions must stop. So wise people must first observe the relationship between body and mind, then you must find the main conditions for mental purification. I see now, why do many great Buddhist masters live long lives? Like Master Benhuan, who lived to 106, Master Mengcan is probably 100 years old. In his traditional age, he's now 100, and he can still sign his name and speak. There are also many those in their 90s. I heard that nearby there's also a 100-year-old monk, and he has a very clear mind. So generally speaking, like Master Xu Yun, there were many centenarians in the past in Buddhism. Why are their minds so pure? Actually, as they grew, I would say they had a certain quality, unlike worldly people who are particularly attached to this, annoyed by that. So the result will gradually get better and better. We often say, do you have something on your mind recently? The wrinkles on your face have increased so much about this saying. Those inner worry and confusion increase the body's burden. When it reaches a certain point, it's very difficult to rescue. So from childhood, we should all cultivate a method of regulating the mind. Some people are good at taking care of their bodies, while physical care is important on one hand, but many people don't know how to care for their minds, letting their mindset run wild. If this continues, the mind directly affects you, and gradually your body will collapse too. If you cultivate your mindset well, you don't necessarily need to buy cosmetics every day or maintain your body. Now, we don't value the mindset that should be valued, while we value physical appearance. Actually, the body truly depends on mindfulness and observing the mind. If we can adjust well, it won't be so difficult. Therefore, everyone here today, what I want to say is, must learn to adjust your mind and nourish your mind. By doing this, you can truly enhance your wisdom. There is another method for enhancing wisdom that we should always be aware of. Whether you have faith or not, it's best to pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is very important. Some people say, I haven't truly taken refuge in the Buddha. Can I prostrate to the Buddha? Actually, it's completely fine, because prostrating to the Buddha doesn't require being a Buddhist. It's not something exclusive to Buddhists or their private property. It's not like that. The Buddha, whether you have faith in him or not, when you pray for his blessings or pray for peace, pray for wealth according to your karma, he will bestow blessings and strength upon you. Just like taking medicine, whether you're a member of the hospital or not, the medicine actually has healing properties. Similarly, when we pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or visit temples, or perform virtuous actions, there is positive energy and virtuous results. Now, many young people seem to want to understand Buddhism, but they're also hesitant, because some Buddhists say, you can't say this, you can't do that. It seems as if entering Buddhism is like entering a closed circle. You can't go in and you can't come out either. There's such a feeling. Actually, this is a misunderstanding of Buddhism, especially among young people today. I think you should learn more through the internet, through Weibo and WeChat, through various means, to understand what Buddhism really teaches. Everyone has the right to learn, to study, and to practice. But you don't necessarily have to take refuge in the Buddha. Of course, if you do take refuge, that would be best. So my suggestion is that everyone should also think about this. I'm not necessarily qualified to teach others or to be a teacher. I don't dare claim such qualifications because I haven't reached a very high standard. But I have read many books on Buddhism, and I have studied many precious Buddhist thoughts. These thoughts, I often think, such wonderful ideas, yet people in cities now have such complicated minds. They feel under great pressure with all kinds of suffering and mental backlash. In such a society, Buddhism actually brings us an even better, most wonderful panacea or spiritual nourishment. At this time, if many young people don't study it, it will be very regrettable in the end. This is also something for everyone to think about together. Actually, it's not as everyone thinks, that Buddhism seems so profound that no one dares to touch it, or that after entering Buddhism, no one dares to leave. It's not like that. According to your own ability and mindset, everyone should learn more and accept more. After this, it should help you, not harm you. Even if you don't want to take refuge, it doesn't matter. You won't offend anything or anyone. You should have positive confidence to learn. This is also very important. Another thing, everyone here in the future, whether you have faith or not, in pursuing certain goals, you often forget yourself, forget your family members, your parents, even certain very important individual family members. Once your own body breaks down, only then do you realize, I forgot about myself. I should have taken care of my body. Once your parents pass away, only then, When I was young, I didn't care for my parents. I wasn't filial. I should have been filial, but now they're gone. Because some people are so very responsible toward their work, they may forget many things about home. A while ago, I read a worldly story. When I first read this story, I felt that many lay people might make the same mistake. The story is about a dialogue between a worldly father and his son. There's a child who keeps asking his father, "Why don't you come home for dinner with our family? You're always out, always busy, busy, busy. Being so busy all the time, exactly how much money do you make?" The father didn't answer directly. He said, "I do make a lot of money." Then the child continued asking. This was a 4 or 5-year-old child. "If you make so much money out there, let me ask you, how much can you earn in 1 hour?" He said, "I earn 20 yuan in 1 hour." Perhaps he truly did, or perhaps not. The next day, the child said, "Can you lend me 10 yuan?" The child said to his father, "Can you lend me 10 yuan?" At first, the father thought he might buy toys or waste money, so he scolded him harshly. "What do you need money for? I won't lend it." Later, he figured it out himself and felt that as his child, asking for 10 yuan wasn't too much. Finally, he took out 10 yuan. After taking out 10 yuan, the child rummaged through his bag, scraped together 10 yuan, making 20 yuan in total. Then he told his father, "I'll give you this 20 yuan. You can earn 20 yuan in 1 hour, right? Tomorrow evening, can you have dinner with me? I'll pay for your time tomorrow." At this moment, I heard that after seeing this, the father reflected on his life and work. Actually, this is a very small dialogue between father and son. But I think for us, especially those who have entered society, including successful entrepreneurs, they're always busy, devoted to their work, always with family, with children, with their loved ones. There's no time spent with them. In such a case, when you value one thing, you may neglect other most important things. I've heard that some people's wives think about her family all day, always wanting to call them. But every day they say, "I'm very busy with work." The time at home is also very brief. Are they truly busy, or are they just making excuses? What is it really? Many women in families are now in a state of confusion. Some successful people, a portion of them truly dedicate themselves to family and work. Another portion, following the current times, basically just go along with the current lifestyle as an excuse. This phenomenon, people present should be educated from childhood to be genuine, sincere, conscientious, wise, and compassionate. With such a mindset, maintain your family. We often tell Buddhists as well, as Buddhists, you also can't be too focused on faith while neglecting your family. If it continues like this, it brings great pressure and negative impact on our society and families. For those in business or doing other things, you also can't be overly concerned with it. After this, we may have forgotten a more important link. I once met a bureau chief of a county. This bureau chief was very frank. He said, "Every day in our county, there are about 7,000 students and over 500 teachers. All their affairs, I manage them all. I'm particularly busy every day. Nearly 10,000 people's affairs, all the schools come to me. I'm very busy. But on Sunday for half a day, I often accompany my family. Otherwise, I feel I'm letting them down. In 1 week, I can only accompany them for half a day." I think his words are still quite humane. After all, we live in this world. Your work, your other responsibilities, we still understand. But in 1 month, even if it's half a day, even if it's 1 day, or in 1 month, in 1 week, 1 hour, 2 hours, you should share time with your family. I see many people in cities now for over 10 years, always busy, busy, busy. In the end, even family members are no longer family. This relationship becomes very strange. This is a social phenomenon. At this time, what we seek, of course we should seek it, but sometimes humans are, after all, emotional beings. So in such a social structure, what methods should we use to train our minds? This is also an attitude. I think family attitudes directly affect society, and social conditions affect the nation and the globe. Therefore, each person's family should be very happy, optimistic, and harmonious. In such a way, we may move toward brightness. Otherwise, as Buddhists, we often say very profound words, while entrepreneurs often shout nice-sounding slogans, and civil servants also have beautiful songs in writing that fundamentally cannot be realized. In such a case, the whole society, originally, all phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, and then all our words and actions follow along with this. It seems very superficial and cannot be put into practice. Therefore, I often tell them, In studying Buddhism, care for family, care for children, care for elderly people around you, care for the society around us. Start with yourself, gradually passing your love to all beings. In Mahayana Buddhism, there's a special practice called the Four Immeasurables. When practicing the Four Immeasurables, first visualize your mother, then visualize your family members, relatives and friends. Then visualize people around you, then visualize enemies you resent. Then visualize all beings in the entire world. My compassion and love gradually expand. It's not that at the beginning I want to liberate all sentient beings at the ends of the earth. All sentient beings is just a very general concept. For you, it's something you can't even touch. If you can't help those around you, like around us, in Mahayana Buddhism, we often speak of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is an unconditional altruistic, particularly inclusive mindset. This mindset, if you just say, I want to serve all beings in the world, this sounds very nice. But actually, if you can't even help one person beside you, then helping all beings in the world is very difficult. Serving all the people of the nation, how do you shout slogans about serving the nation, serving the party, serving whatever? When you say it like this, it sounds nice and anyone dares to say it. But when a person appears before you, how do you actually help them? Therefore, my principle is, we may not be able to help many people, but practically in your lifetime or in 1 year, in 1 month, if you can help one person, do one small thing, then this one small thing for your life has very important meaning. Some people work quietly without any lofty slogans, but in their actions, they truly address practical issues. Some people, when they speak, it's very grand, very broad, very profound, but actually, whether in their own practice or in helping others, it's not very practical, not very fitting. Therefore, I hope students and friends from the normal school must understand clearly this society is rather complex and also a rather strange society. At this time, many voices we hear around us. Some are beneficial to people's hearts and ourselves, while some may not be of great benefit. But no matter what, I still praise this. Each of you should have a faith, because faith, in a broad sense, can mean faith in wealth, faith in material things, faith in relationships, anything can be named. But what I specifically mean is faith in Buddhism or faith in other religions is also fine. Why? Because with faith, there's spiritual refuge. With faith, there's a moral baseline. With faith, there's behavioral restraint. With faith, there's direction for one's goals. With faith, there should be a psychology of aspiration for oneself. In this way, our life can have true sunshine. Otherwise, sometimes you think having no faith is good, but actually, in what we see, hear, and understand, because of lacking faith, it leads to negative impacts on society in various aspects, or family breakdown, as well as individual moral degradation and so on. There are many, many bad results. So I advocate that everyone have faith, not for my sake, not for my Buddhism, not for my this or that. It's for you personally. If you have faith, perhaps your life will have more value, more meaning. Otherwise, if you think others don't have faith, so I also don't need faith. It's not necessarily. No one's behavior cannot represent truth. It should be based on the purpose of life's values, not based on the majority. Therefore, in certain issues and in seeking truth, you need your own wisdom and very valuable theories from predecessors as guidance. Only in this way, I think everyone's life will be hopeful. I think that's about all I have to say.